Welcome to the channel. I thought we'd have a little chat about dies today, and I will just go through what I have here and we'll compare the different brands, and I'll tell you the bits that I like and the bits that I don't like. Nice and simple video. Let's start with the champion in this particular shed, and that is Lee and more Lee and a bit more Lee. Lee dies are cheap for that reason alone. I like them. Let me give you a bit of an intro of what I like about Lee dies. I like the box. Look how many I fit in here. Isn't that beautiful? You can just reach in and grab something. I like the box. They've brought in, as of late, they brought in a slightly shorter box. You know, I don't know. I'm kind of on the fence about that. But the big box I like. And I mean, they do weird stuff. What is this? This is for 50 Beowulf. Never seen a box like this. For the larger caliber, you kind of like paper boxes like this. You also have the mini size for kind of like really small sort of two die set sort of things. And in the olden days, if you've been a reloader for a while, they used to come like this. You know, they used to come like this. You used to have all your Lee dies in there. That was really awkward. Where do you store that? Now, Lee, as ever, is doing changes. They're active company. This is probably a slightly older set, but we'll go through it. We'll go through it. So we'll start off, and I have little numbers on all my dies. They tell me what shell holder ring to grab. So you know, this is number 4 ring. So you get a nice bit of paperwork. I like that. You get a SAMI diagram, more or less, that gives you dimensions of the finished product, which is useful to have. And it gives you some reloading instructions, something a bit addy, and you get some load data. See, that's fantastic. When you start off shooting, just getting a die which has some load data in it, I mean, that's really worthwhile. And then from there, we have, well, we'll start off at the beginning. We have the full sizing die. The full sizing die, I won't get the capper out, but let's just have a quick look. 3/4 die holds the outside. You can crunch this down. The top guy over here, that's a 1/2 inch, like that. So with that you can untwist that nice and easy, and the whole thing is a 1/1/8 die. 1/1/8 die will grab the little nut. Now you can see here the main die locking nut that I use in the shed tends to be a Dillon. I bought at some stage about 150 of these damn things, and I screw them onto all the dies that come near the Dillon. You know, if it comes near the Dillon, I put that nut on it, because the tool head just doesn't have that much space. While we're on the subject, this is how Lee die locking nuts used to look for 1 1/8 spanner. Fantastic. What is this? What's that? What spanner do I put on that? This goes straight in the naughty bin. I will actually rip these off my dies, and I have a little tub here where I throw them in, never to be seen again. I mean, what am I meant to do with that? How am I going to tie that down? What, I'm going to buy a special spanner from you? It's not going to happen. Okay, so the dies themselves. This is the decapping die and the full sizing die all at once. Inside it is this pin here. You have your decapper up front. If you're lucky, that's actually still made out of a separate material. In the past, those used to be kind of like hardened pins. These days, they make it all in one. And then over here, this guy re-expands the neck of your case after it's been crunched down in this die. This is a one piece. If for whatever reason you cannot get your case out of this die, you can just take a hammer. You loosen this thread, yeah, this nut up high, you just take it out and then you just whack it with a hammer until the case comes out of the bottom. It's really intuitive and simple. This is a one-pass piece. You can buy this from Lee for like a couple of quid, 2-3 quid. You know, fantastic, and you'll have it. You'll have a new one. You know, you don't have to worry about if something breaks off finding parts lists or whatever. So I like the way that everything on here is controlled with a spanner. I don't like twizzling. Twizzling is a huge pain. A spanner is I can hang around with a spanner all day. Anyway, that's the decap and resizing die. Then over here we have the seating die. The top of this is a uniform piece made out of aluminum. And then inside there you have, made out of little steel, you have the individual seater. I love this because you can take, if this doesn't work for whatever you're doing right now, you can just go to another set, find the insert and try using that and see whether it'll give you slightly cleaner seating or all the rest. You know, it's just lovely. And I also love the fact that this is made out of alu, because if for whatever reason, and it's never happened to me in 15 years of reloading, and I'm not sure whether this is part of the design, I don't know. But if for whatever reason you have a case go off in there while the ramp is, while your handle is down and the ram is up holding it in place, I kind of feel that's the weak point, and that it would all blow up outwards instead of at me, you know, like a hand grenade. If we look at some of the other dies later, they're twisted in for the seating die, and the whole thing is a unit, and it kind of feels very hand grenadey in a weird sort of way. I don't think that's an issue. I don't think there's ever really been an accident where a round went off while sitting in a full sizing die. But I don't know. I like the fact it's alu. You know, it's kind of like a weak point. It makes me feel good. The crimp die, you can actually fish these guys out, and you can mess with them, but it's pretty simple. I mean, I don't actually think for rifle crimp dies there's that much of a choice out there. I quite like the Lee ones. So that about sums it up. So then you get a bit of information, you get a nice box that's a good size that you can stack, that doesn't steal a lot of space. These dies are cheap. You know, you get a bit of reloading information, and everything on here you manipulate with a spanner. And I love that. I love spanners. Spanners are great. You know, if you have some sort of knurled thread and it's stuck and you try to untwist it, and then out come the pliers and you're marring it. Oh dear, oh dear, oh dear. Give me a spanner. Spanner's good. Alright, so those are our Lee dies then. We can have a quick look while we are here at the big boys. These are then the larger dies for 1 1/4 inch thread. See, these are nice and big, and again, you can put a span on that. Isn't that nice? You know, so you can fit those. But what have we got here? You're the full sizing die with the decapper. Takes a 1/2 inch spanner, straight on there. I can untwist that. Great. So you know, it's consistent. It's kind of like always the same. Inside bit of paper. What do we get? Oh, we don't get a diagram on these. They're clearly cheaped out. I think this is generic. I don't think this is. This is 577 Martini Henry. They clearly don't sell enough of these dies to make their own paperwork. So that is the Lee lineup. Next is probably RCBS. We have a 300 Win Mag here. I'm not an RCBS fan. I find RCBS dies, oh no, I don't have that happy feeling when I have to work with them. Let's start with the full sizing die. So I'm twisting out the decapper here. So I mean straight away 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 parts this thing consists of, and a Lee that's 2. And if for whatever reason this gets stuck, I think you can't hammer these down. I've had one of these where the extractor parts of the case basically got ripped off if for whatever reason you don't use enough resizing lube. And I took this thing apart and I couldn't hammer the case out. And by the time I got the case out, the whole shaft was bent and buggered. And oh, it was just really frustrating. Let's see, how would I get this out? I'd probably undo this, put this out, put it upside down. Then I would drill into the case, thread the case, and put a sort of nut on top, and then kind of like put a bolt on and untwist this, something in that ilk. It's just, you know, hassle. And 1/2 inch doesn't fit. What else have we got? 7/16. It's a 7/16, and it's not really the lock nut. It's only a locking down nut. Why give you a spanner for this bit, but not that bit? And if you are spannering this whole thing down like this, and you give it a good hard crunch, how on earth are you ever going to get this guy off again? You know, it's just weird. Don't know. I don't like these particular locking thingies either. I find they are unduly harsh on the thread. They somehow mar the thread up for me. Now, to be fair, this might not be their latest offering. This is just an RCBS die kit that I have kicking around. And inside, straight away, we have a neck sizing die from Lee. That's how quick it is. This thing here, this is their seating die. Again, 1/2 inch, doesn't fit. Have to go for a 7/16. And I don't think I could twist this out backwards. See, this is I can't even look at the shape that the seating die has. So I probably have to drop this all the way through, pull it out, look at it, and then kind of like drop it back in like that and try. Oh dear, oh dear, oh dear, oh dear. It's just not design I'm particularly fond of. You know, it's just all a bit fiddly. You know, I'm fiddling with a little thing. Look, it's got a cut there for a flathead screwdriver. RCBS have a reputation for being accurate. Dice, reloading dice. Now I don't know about that. I load all my stuff with Lee dice, even the quote-unquote competition stuff. But I think if you put a sort of micrometer thing on this, then maybe. But you know, I don't know. It just doesn't feel like home. You get paperwork. You can have a look at the paperwork. The box is nice. I like the box. See, it's a good box. It's worth an awful lot with me. Yeah, replacement parts. Gotta buy all the correct replacement parts. Yeah, but this is generic. This is not caliber specific. So, you know, no, that's RCBS for you. Don't know. Leaves me cold, RCBS. See, 5 there for number 5 shell holder. Next. I don't have any Lyman dies. I don't have any. I had some at some stage. I think for my 260. This is something else. I just repurposed the box. I don't know. I won't speak about. I don't really have them in memory in a particular way. Let's see what's next. Oh, next I guess should be Hornadys. Hornadys are relegated to the rear because of the silly massive box that they give you. Hornady box. Lee box. 4 dies. 2 dies. Alright, well, let's have a look. So oh dear, dear, not a fan of the box. Hornady, these locking rings, I'm pretty sure they're Hornady. I think they're Hornady, aren't they? They're fantastic. I love them. This is my favorite locking ring that at some stage I bought like 50 of those. I screw those on everything that I use with the single stage press. And I think that's an inch, isn't it? Oh no, it's 1/1/18. But they're just you set them, they screw down. They're not as sizable. You can just about get these, you know, to work. I like those. They're my favorite locking ring. And you're not gnawing into anything. You're not gnawing into the thread. You're just tightening the ring. So my favorite locking ring straight out. This is the full sizing die. What bets do you want to take? That's 1/2 inch. 1/2 inch like civilized people. So we can twist that in and out. They have their rod here, has a thread on it for maneuvering up and down. I don't know, a bit, but okay, fine, you know, let's not be overly critical. We can untwist this. So there we can pull it out. Again, a separate decapping pin. I'm not a fan of separate decapping pins. It's just they add a, you kind of have to aim these boys sometimes, you know, they don't always want to point forward for me, and when they break, it's no easier to get hold of a decapping pin. I mean, you have to mess around with the decapping pin and maybe this ball thing here, I don't know. I like the thread thing. That's a novel idea, but okay. Well, anyway, other than that, it's just a resizing die. All these dies, if you start using them, the basic functionality tends to always be the same. There's never that much in it. It's just some I find more convenient to use than others, and I think these people get cred for the locking ring. I like the locking ring, and I like the fact that this takes a standard 1/2 inch to untwist whatever is going on in the rear here. I like that as well. The seating die, see you catch it here and then you pull it all the way up. That's actually quite a neat design. I quite like that. You have another clip down there. This is clearly the element that then seats the head. Fair enough. Oh no, not really a go-to die for me. Hornady. I think personally I like the Hornadys more than the RCBSs. The RCBSs I really find a bit of a pain between you, me and the garden posts. So yeah, Hornadys are alright, I guess. I like the locking rings. As said, the box is massive. I don't like the box is huge. Next I have some Aussie dies here. We have some Simplex for 5.6 by 50R. Very RCBS-y. You know, I mean, what size is that little nut up there, you know? But I guess you could twist this out. So it's the decapping die. I clearly took the pin out. A bit overly complex everything here, you know. Too many moving bits. Oh. I'm going to get a spanner on that. Imagine that is down hard and you have to get that off. I mean, what do? You get a spanner out. Spanner's not going to do it, so next thing you're going to come up with some sort of pair of pliers and then they slip and they mar it. Is it alu? God, tell me that's not alu. I'm going to put this against some magnets and see what material it's out. That is... well, at least it's steel. That makes me feel slightly better. I think this here might be alu though. Okay, let's have a look. So that's the seater. You can seat your rounds with this. Yeah, this bit is aluminium, and then you have a locking ring out of metal. I guess these aren't the sort of dies that you stick in a Dillon. Locking ring is massive and doesn't have a place to get your spanner on, and it's one of those which pulls the side together. I like that. So the locking ring here, so you see you have a little gap in there and you're pulling that together. That's a nice way of locking a ring together. The RCBS version literally has a thing in the side you twist down and you will mar the thread with that. Ugh, not a fan. Right, so that was Simplex. We can see what else we've got kicking about. That's the lineman. Put you in there. Let's see what we've got kicking around. We've got a Redding die for the 41 long Colt. There it is. And Redding dies I actually quite like. I shouldn't, because yet again everything is kind of hand powered. But this is an expanding, this is pistol caliber. Pistol caliber dies are always a little bit easier, I guess, so that's why this gets a little bit extra credit. But the way they've done this, and this is like a solid core, I think that's actually quite nice for like a one-piece part. You know, the way that they've got the ramp up. See what small size they start down there. If you have a sort of case that has a ding in it, I think this thing would do a good job of getting it out. So you've got this locking ring here for holding stuff down. You know, kind of finger tight. I don't know. Not really something I like. What are you? This thing is then the full sizing die. I'll see if I can twist all this out. See, for this, Lee have one standard manual for all pistol calibers. I have about a dozen of these spares. If I break one of these out, I just rip it off and throw another one in and I carry on. I don't even break a sweat. Imagine you break that off. I mean, where do you get bits for that? You know what I'd do? I'd use a universal decapper for this. I wouldn't even decap with this. And I'd run this thing without the insert out. So I mean, effectively, they've done a lot of work making this thing. I'm never going to use it, because if it breaks, where on earth am I going to get bits for that? So let's put you back. What else have I got? The crimp die in here as ever is a Lee. That's because 41 long Colt, the ammunition, some of it was Ballard size, so this is heavily modified. Let's put you back there. What's the final die we have in here then? And you are a seating die. You can have a look at that as well. So that's the seater, one part. Quite neat, I guess. And this thing will do a crimp. So yeah, you know, nice. Not much in the way of paperwork. Paperwork is general, but okay. I quite like the box. I like the box. I like that the box has these places for putting rounds while you work on them. That's actually quite an intelligent sort of design. I think that's quite smart, you know. It's unusual. Nobody else has done that or thought of it. So let's put you back. And then finally, the last set of dies that I have are these guys here from CH4D. These are custom made. I guess that's the word I'd go for. This is for a 32 long Colt. What have we got? You are something for crimping it. We'll put you to one side, you're not part of the set. So here then, this is the expanding die, and that has a decapper in it. You can have a look at it, at least again, the locking thread again. It locks down against the thread here, just a central pin with a screw in it. Ooh, you know, I don't like that, but okay. If you look at that, that's actually quite pretty. I mean, my God, that's engineered for borderline custom made. Oh, look, you can even untwist this. Really? Oh, very clever. So this is clearly the part they make. No, this is probably a generic part. That's probably a generic part. And all this is probably a generic part. I'll probably use a universal in case I break this, especially if I put this into the Dylan. I think I see a little bit of rust here and there. I might have to wash these down at some stage. But okay, let's see what you are. You're the expanding die. Again, can't really get a spanner on this. Isn't that beautiful? That's one part. The whole thing is one part. It's actually quite impressive. That's actually quite lovely. Look at that. Solid. One single part. So he clearly has a whole bunch of these threaded just as bolts, then he clearly wears them down for the specific caliber that you asked for. Alright, what have we got? Last one I think is seating. We can have a look at that quickly. Again, it's a nice box. It's a box that'll match up with roughly what you have. I have to say the Hornady boxes I find the most annoying, because you really just got to find a place to store that stuff. Okay, so we can have a look at this. This is the seating die. See again, he's taken one of the central mandrels. He clearly manufactures those in quantities and then cuts them down and machines them past a certain point to whatever he needs at the particular moment in time. It's actually quite nice. They're expensive though. So, you know, they're kind of like for calibers that other places don't manufacture anymore. So if you're trying to find something that just kind of isn't out there, then these places are your best bet. For me, myself and I think spanners are great. Anything that I can get a spanner to makes me happy. That's like a big plus point. I like the fact that it's cheap. Cheap for me is a huge plus point. I don't like spending money on dies, you know. And finally, I think a good box. And if you give me some written instructions that'll tell you a little bit about the particular round you're loading, then I think that's also great, especially when you start off. See, Lee also do these little boxes for just 2 die sets. I don't know. So that basically then is a tour through my die selection. I hope you found it interesting. I will go and wash my hands, and I'll see you next time. Bye bye.